Chapter 13. A True Lady. Higgins was determined to talk to Eliza, but he could see that his mother was serious. He sat down and prepared to listen to what she had to say.
Eliza came to me this morning,
began Mrs. Higgins.
She told me of the terrible way you two treated her.
What?
Cried Higgins, jumping up.
That's nonsense.
He's right, Mrs. Higgins,
agreed Pickering.
We were certainly not unkind to Eliza last night. We hardly said a word to her. Higgins, did you bully her after I went to bed?
On the contrary,
said Higgins.
She bullied me. She threw my slippers at me.
I'll tell you why,
said Mrs. Higgins.
Eliza worked very hard for you. She behaved like a duchess, and yet you didn't give her one word of praise. Instead, you talked of how glad you were that it was all over, and how bored the whole thing had made you in the end.
Perhaps we were a little thoughtless.
Pickering nodded.
Is she very angry?
Well, she won't go back to Wimpole Street,
said Mrs. Higgins.
But if you promise to behave yourselves, I shall ask her to come down and talk to you.
Higgins and Pickering promised to be pleasant, and Alfred decided to go to the garden for a while so that the others could speak privately. Eliza entered the room, looking calm and very ladylike, showing remarkable ease of manner.
How do you do, Professor Higgins?
She asked.
So glad to see you again, Colonel Pickering.
The two men stared at her, dumb with shock.
Quite chilly this morning, isn't it?
Eliza went on.
Don't you dare play this game on me. I taught it to you, and you can't fool me. Get your things and come home.
Higgins said furiously.
Anyone can learn to speak properly and dress properly, Mr. Higgins,
answered Eliza calmly, without looking at him.
But the true difference between a lady and a flower girl is how she's treated. I shall always be a flower girl to you, because you always treat me like a flower girl, and always will. But to Colonel Pickering, I shall always be a lady, because he always treats me like a lady, and always will.
But will you forgive Higgins and come back?
Asked Pickering gently.
He only wants me back to pick up his slippers and fetch and carry for him,
said Eliza.
I don't want you back at all,
cried Higgins angrily.
Very well,
said Eliza.
I can do without you. I'll marry Freddie Ansford Hill. He writes to me 2 or 3 times a day. He truly loves me.
That young fool,
cried Higgins.
He couldn't get a job even as an errand boy.
I'll work,
said Eliza confidently.
I'll go and be a teacher of phonetics, just like you.
Higgins laughed.
I like you like this, Eliza,
he cried.
You're full of strength. I have really made you into a woman after all. Oh, by the way, I want you to buy some things for me.
Honestly, I cannot imagine what you were to do without me,
said Eliza, stepping out.
I should be uneasy about the two of you if Eliza wasn't fond of the Colonel,
said Mrs. Higgins.
Pickering? Nonsense. She's going to marry Freddie. Freddie.